Hey everybody, it's Paula from Big Green Pen. I wanted to chat with you quickly to tell you about my blog post today because at this time of being alone together during all of our stay-at-home orders, I know many of us are facing challenges for how to spend our time. I focused on 5 ways the newspaper can help us do that. It's been a week when I've seen friends and acquaintances furloughed and seen local newspapers struggle even more than they had been. I find that frustrating and saddening, and I channeled those feelings into this post. Here are my 5 suggestions. My first is to read it. I know that's kind of obvious, but I do read my Tallahassee Democrat every day, and I still get a paper version because our previous owner of our home apparently has not cut off his subscription. So I do still love the feel of paper in my hands. So it's kind of fun that I'm getting that. But there's so much more than coronavirus news in the local paper, and I share some of those things in the blog post today. That's one option, which is probably the most obvious one of the 5. The second is read with others. If you haven't joined the New York Times read along, we do that every Sunday from 8:30 to 10:30. And it's so much more than reading the newspaper. We have incredible guests. Today we had an author, Andrew Hacker, who helped us make some sense of the political world and what to expect when elections happen in November, and gave us some perspective on our current state of politics. Everybody has an opinion, and his definitely gave us an interesting angle that I appreciated. But we also just have a community. And although we aren't together physically, we are together in spirit, in being inquisitive about the news and about current events and learning from each other. I highly recommend it. I also shared a link to another read-alongs of children's books and things like that, because I know we're not the only game in town, even though I'm very partial to the New York Times read-along for the obvious reasons. The next and third suggestions is read internationally. Find something that covers things from a different angle, from a different culture. For example, the BBC covers things in America in a totally different way. And I share 2 other international outlets that, for example, you can go to any of them, but I edit the UN Wire Smart Brief 3 days a week, so I get to look at newspapers from all over the world, and that's a favorite part of my job, which I have many favorite parts, but that's a favorite part. Fourth, write for the newspaper. If you have that opinion in your head that's been kind of niggling at you, and you've thought 100 times, man, I need to get this out, or that story didn't make sense, here's why the world needs my thoughts, the newspaper is your place to do that. And I encourage you to do that. I know it, in some cases, takes a little bit of a leap of faith, but this is a great time to at least get your thoughts down. Maybe it won't be accepted for publishing, but you won't know unless you try. I've been fortunate to be published several times. I've been fortunate to be given great feedback from the platform coach at the Democrat, and I think all of our voices should be heard when possible, and encourage you to do that. And not just opinions. I also review local theater productions, and there's not a lot of that going on in person right now, but the groups that cover theater are saying, still talk about theater, talk about what's coming up, do an in-depth interview with a local actor who hasn't had time to be interviewed before. Find a way to keep arts alive through your words, even if there aren't in-person events right now. I love that idea. Haven't had time to pursue it, or haven't chosen to pursue it, I guess. But I think it would be a really cool thing to do. And finally, this is something I suppose if I were creative and industrious enough, I would have done to give you an example, but newspaper origami. And I put a picture in the blog post of someone's beautiful newspaper flower. I think it would be really fun. And if anybody does it, let me know, and I'd be glad to feature your newspaper origami on my Facebook page or on my Instagram. But newspapers are extremely versatile. And although this is intended to be a fun post about things you can do with the newspaper to kind of get your creativity going. It's really hard for me to write about this without trying to encourage you to subscribe to your local paper, to support it. And I quoted a great piece by Tony Plohetsky. I really hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Tony. He talked about our work matters, especially when lives are on the line. So thank you, Tony, for that opinion. I couldn't have said it better. I believe that. I really encourage you to use your local newspaper as a way to get through these difficult times, and let me know how you do. Use the hashtag #AloneTogether. And thank you so much for watching.